by. Do you see any empty seats next to you? Raise your hand if you do.
Show, where we show what you may have missed, what's scary, what's terrifying, disturbing, or whatever in Pokemon. There's a lot of it, and you may have missed it. We've got a lot to cover, so we'll have to make this quick. Warning, this panel may contain content unsuitable for sensitive or easily disturbed people. We advise small children or those who are extremely attached to their current lighthearted view of Pokemon to perhaps go to a nicer panel. You have been warned. Now, if any of you have comments on anything, hold it to the end. We will have an input session. Now, my fellow panelists for today are the following.
Hello everybody, I'm Coca, former gym leader of Fuchsia City Gym, now member of the Elite Four. Thank you very much. Also, my past with Team Rocket is over. I am no longer a member of Team Rocket. If any of you see Janine, tell her that Daddy is grocery shopping and not going to Team Rocket meetings, all right? All right.
What's up, guys? I'm Lieutenant Surge. I lead the gym in Vermilion. I like electric Pokemon, long walks to beats, and... Wait a sec. Wait. Koga, you ass! You told me this was the dating game!
Sorry, dude.
Oops.
Hello, I'm Professor Juniper, also known as the Pokemon Professor. Sit down, Professor Oak.
My name is Giovanni. I am the boss of Team Rocket, and despite the rumors of my death being greatly exaggerated, I am here today, along with everyone else, and my main panelists.
Our first segment is things you may have missed. As we're going through our game, awesome, you may have missed a couple things that may have gone over your head, such as...
Okay, we're gonna start off by talking about who's Raticate. A lot of you probably heard of this. But anyways, there's my rival, this douche.
And who was the champion first?
4 or 5 minutes, the loser from Powtown.
You're the loser from Palace.
If I wanted my own comeback, I would have wiped it off your mama's chin.
Can we get back to the panel, please? You can flirt later.
Anyways, you first encounter Blue on the SSN, and you fight him, and he has a level 16 Raticate, which is illegal. Raticate evolves at level 20. Anyways, you later encounter him at Pokemon Tower, and he asks you, what brings you here? Is your Pokemon dead? Now, it's terrifying enough that he implies that he wants to kill your Pokemon, but when you fight him, you notice that Raticate is no longer in his party. Your douche rival was burying his Raticate.
How does it feel to know you killed your rival's Raticate?
Feels good, man.
I don't wish he died. Raticate is a weak Pokemon, and I put my team through rigorous training to get where I am today.
Sure. Anyways, we're all doing better these days, obviously. And...
Our next segment is Aiding Pokemon. I'm sure there has been some point during all of your Pokemon journeys where you thought of the very pressing question,
what does a Tauros burger taste like?
It tastes delicious!
sit down, Alright, so there actually is in-game evidence of people eating Pokemon. If you've gone to the Canalave Library and read a couple of their books, you find this little treat. Pick clean the bones of Pokemon caught in the sea or stream. Thank them for the meals they provide, and pick their bones clean. When the bones are as clean as can be, set them free in the water from which they came. The Pokemon will return fully fleshed, and it begins anew. Alright, so you're eating Pokemon. Zombie Pokemon. Alright, that's legit. I mean, like, I will be a vegetarian. Thank you very much. So, yeah. They're still alive. It's creepy. Well, there's a reason why you would not want to eat some of these Pokemon.
What was the reaction? I told Tail, so it could be attributed to something similar to the Bible or an old folk tale.
True, but it's still, I mean, it's your Pokemon. They're your friend.
Yes, save all questions till the end, please.
We will have a section afterwards so you can all share all the terrifying things that we may or may not have missed.
Now when it
Speaking
comes-
of things that we will not miss, next section, disturbing Pokedex entries. For this, I'm going to need a little help from one of my colleagues, Professor Oak.
Hello, I'm Professor Oak, the Pokemon Professor. Accept no substitutes.
Okay, our first Pokemon. Raticate. The Pokedex clearly states it uses its whiskers to maintain its balance. It apparently slows down if they are cut off.
Yeah, douche.
Who is cutting off Raticate's whiskers to know this?
Which brings us to another thing that I need to talk to you about. Staryu. As long as the center section is unharmed, it can grow back fully, even if it's chopped to bits. What's wrong with you children? I wanted to know where it lived, what it ate. You give me this.
Why know how it ate, not what it ate?
Kids.
Next, Golem. Its boulder-like body is extremely hard. It can easily withstand dynamite blasts without taking damage. Children, trainers, we need to have a talk.
And they say I'm a villain?
I want you to give me Pokedex entries saying things like, Togepi, its shell is filled with happiness, not this. 1, why are you telling me this? 2, where did you get dynamite? Team Rocket! Moving on.
Pincer. It grips its prey with its pincers until the prey is torn in half. When it can't tear, it tosses far.
You are tearing me apart,
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Weiser.
Houndoom. If you are burned by the flames it shoots from its mouth, the pain will never go away.
Oh god, so Justin Bieber on Infinite Loop.
Shedinja, a discarded bug shell that came to life through some unholy power, what I don't know. Peering into the crack on its back is said to steal one's spirit. Now, what do you see when you send Shedinja out to battle? My God, it's full of stars.
Damn you, shut your jaw!
Drifloon, isn't it so cute? I mean, look, it's got a little thing on its head and its beady little eyes, and the Pokedex says it is whispered that any child who mistakes Drifloon for a balloon and holds onto it could wind up missing. In the Japanese, sit down, Morty. In the Japanese version, it explicitly states that it drags children to hell.
I got my grandson about a dozen balloons every month. That was my luck.
What, you didn't hear about the Drifloon boy scandal?
Well, I heard they faked that. He wasn't even in the Drifloon.
Glalie.
The family that wanted attention.
Glalie has the ability to freely control ice. For example, it can instantly freeze its foe solid. After immobilizing its foe, it enjoys eating it in a leisurely fashion. Leisurely.
Mr. Noctowl, how many lists does it take to the Pokemon Center of a Pokepop?
Let's find out. 1, 2, oh dear God, it's eating me!
Cacturn. If a traveler is going through a desert in the thick of night, Cacturn will follow in a ragtag group. The Pokemon are biding their time, waiting for the traveler to tire and become incapable of moving.
Jason Boris, side look. Oh my god, Jason Boris is a cactus. My life is
Which brings me to one of the new horrifying things we have discovered in the land of, Unova. Yamask. Each of them carries a mask that used to be its face when it was human.
Oh my God.
Sometimes they look at it and cry. Congratulations! The deceased spirit of that pacifist or small child that is now living in eternal torment is being forced to battle by you. You are so kind.
Chandelure. Being consumed in Chandelure's flame burns up the spirit, leaving the body behind.
I fell into a burning ring of fire.
Parasect, a host-parasite pair in which the parasite mushroom has completely taken over the host bug. It prefers damp places. Now, your poor little Paris, the little bug that's been with you for so long, you've evolved it and its mind is completely gone. It only exists to spread the mushroom further, but that is not the most terrifying part of Parasect.
True, yes. Alright guys, this is where this panel gets a little intense. You know that awesome little Parasect? There is a subliminal message in the Generation 1 sprite of Parasect. If you guys know this, do not spoil it for everybody. I want to see the looks of horror on their faces.
It makes even me quake with fear.
Guys, I'm just gonna, I'm usually a pretty quiet guy, but I'm talking to tell you this is intense.
Alright, so if you want to see the subliminal message, what you do, take the Generation 1 sprite, make it larger, flip it upside down, do you see it?
Oh, well, you'll have to now.
Do I have
It
says piss!
I'm just saying that really is it. So, yeah, that was it.
Problem, panelists?
I laughed too hard at that.
Our next segment is
Moves that make you go, what the fine? Now, there are many moves like this, and aren't you, it makes you glad that you don't live in the Pokemon world, where you'll be on the receiving end of these if you happen to annoy one. For example, the one-hit KO moves. Guillotine. Your Pokemon is torn in half by vicious, tearing pincers. Horn Drill. Your body is stabbed with a rotating horn and swirls and gurls and twirls your guts around until they're nothing but chop suey. Sheer Cold. Hypothermia. Your Pokemon gets hypothermia. It starts to get tired, but it knows if it falls asleep, it'll never wake up. And Fissure. My personal favorite, the one I give. Your Pokemon is dropped into an abyss as the very earth shakes itself. I need that. I need that.
my ex was into some weird stuff, but...
Now, there are more than just the one-hit KO moves. Atotomize, a newfangled universe steel-type move. The user cuts off parts of their body to raise their speed. Now, the only Pokemon that get this are steel types, such as Aggron or Steelix, who merely cut off or shed their steel armor. But now, imagine this scenario. Togepi used Metronome. Togepi used Atotomize. Togepi used Mega Punch now. Perish Song. This song, anyone hearing it faints in 3 turns unless you run away or something. Curse, your Pokemon is so horrified by the demon cursing it, it takes 1/4 of its HP per turn, and there is no running from it unless you switch. Dark Void, your Pokemon is dragged into a vicious, unending nightmare. The worst part is Darkrai, the only Pokemon that can do this, means no harm. It's a defense mechanism of killing your Pokemon from sheer terror. Hornleech, you're stabbed with a horn and your nutrients are sucked out of you by the horn. Yes, try aiming for the horn now and see where that gets you. Skullbash, your Pokemon tucks in its head and rams into the enemy. Not all that bad. But remember all those times your poor Squirtle used it on a Rhydon? Simple Beam, dumber through a beam? That's horrible.
Who used it on you?
Oh, shut up. Self-destruct. Do I need to say anything? Your Pokemon blows itself to bits!
Hold on, I'm sorry guys, the PowerPoint isn't. Sorry.
Technical difficulty.
That brings us to our next segment. It's glitches.
The thing about glitches is, as a protagonist, I can vouch for them. They are a lot of fun. Show of hands, who's used missing no to clone items before? So just about all of you. Alright. And the thing is, glitches can majorly screw up your game. If you think about this from an in-universe perspective, these beings that are simply not meant to be are rewriting and tearing apart the universe as we know it. Missing no is the most common because it's the most easy to encounter. Missing no is pretty harmless. It's a pretty cool guy, you know. They'll clone your items for you. But what you have to watch out for is Missing No's cousin, M, who you have an equal chance of running into. M, if you run into the level 01 and catch it and send it to your PC, your game is screwed if you save. You cannot access your PC. You will be tripping balls. It's not pretty. Next up, my personal favorite, Charizard M. The thing about Charizard M is, if you put it in a Pokedex, if you put it in a Pokebox, or if you put it in your party, all of those Pokemon will turn to Charizard M. It turns everything into Charizard, and it's awesome.
Stealth Rock.
Smog on bag. Anyways, the terrifying part about this glitch is it only knows Splash!
Oh my god.
H-Poke is another one. It's very hard to come by. It takes a lot of glitching or a Game Shark, but it is harmless. Except for the fact that it's 80 feet tall and weighs 6,000 pounds. Do you know what I did when I saw this?
You peed yourself?
Yes, I peed myself.
80 feet tall.
Next up, we have female symbol. Now, no, I don't have vegans girls. My best friend is a girl. Hi, Leaf. And, you know, it looks pretty harmless. It's a little scary looking. But the thing is, when you encounter this, its cry sounds like a staticky remix of all of your worst nightmares, and its cry never ends. Even if you speed up an emulator and put it on for hours, it doesn't end.
Now, on to creepy.
They've done this research.
So, you know how me and some of my other professor friends basically want you to get every single Pokemon ever? Well, you're gonna need to go to some rather fun places to do that, so sorry about that.
Yes, I'm sure we all remember Lavender Tower. Team Rocket had an important operation there, which we accomplished very much. Yes, if Cubone is in the audience, I have no sympathy. Your hope is in our way. Now, I'm sure you all remember this great tune, playing as you walk around the town. We're talking about ghosts and go to the tower. There are possessed channelers who say things like, "Give me blood," or "Your mother trains Pokemon in hell." And the list goes on. Now, that music is what I'm sure you all remember. And there were rumors that it caused children in Japan to commit suicide in the original Red and Green because of manipulated brainwaves. Those rumors are nothing but false, unfortunately. Now, all it did was give people headaches. Now, that music is plenty terrifying, is it not? But what can be more terrifying than it? Backwards.
I'm gone, so I dance music.
Now, the Pokemon Mansion, this place holds great importance to Team Rocket as well, as I couldn't find the most powerful Pokemon in the world. I needed one to take over the world, but I couldn't find it. So I just said, screw the rules, I'll make one.
I caught it.
Shut up. I hired some incompetent scientists to make it, and they had many failed experiments lying around that mansion. Eyes where arms should be, pus everywhere, blood that's gushing out of areas that...
Next place! Pseudopolis. Now, Pseudopolis in and of itself isn't very terrifying. It's what happens when Team Aqua and Magma try to take over that gets a little all fun. With Team Aqua, it's obvious. As you can sort of see, Pseudopolis is basically a giant basin with a little island around it. So with Team Aqua awakening Kyogre, everyone's sort of going to drown in the ensuing downpour when they're trying to raise the levels of the ocean. So Team Magma, however, is even more terrifying. Are you aware of how a steam cooker works? So, little enclosed area, the sun is beating down, causing all the water to evaporate. We are talking about the power of Groudon, which can lower the level of the ocean. All that steam, those people are going to be cooked alive.
That's hot. No, I didn't know it is.
So then there's Old Chateau, which is basically this random creepy abandoned place in the middle of the woods. You see Rotom there on the TV, and it terrifies you, and you have the creepy ghost girl, but one of the things that you have to really think about is, as you're exploring this mansion, you go into the kitchen. You can look at one of the trash cans, and you'll find an antidote in it. In the kitchen. In the trash can. I like poison Pokemon as much as the next person, but I do not let Arbok near the kitchen, alright?
Next one is the Distortion World from Pokemon Platinum. To be quite frank, you are tripping balls in there, you are walking on the ceiling, you are swimming up waterfalls, and of course we have the lovely Giratina, who just loves screaming in your face every so often as you're trying to get your way through it to get to Cyrus. And speaking of Cyrus, who decides to stay in the Distortion World because apparently his ideal world is one with no emotion, whatever. So, when you fight Giratina, if you decide to not catch him and either just let him faint, eventually he's going to recover. He is stuck in there with Cyrus, with no way out. I don't know who has it worse, Cyrus being stuck with Giratina or Giratina being stuck with Cyrus.
A hack he was.
Next up is Mount Silver, where you fight me, and probably one because I'm extremely easy to beat. The thing about Mount Silver is, it is based off of the real world Mount Fuji. At the base of Mount Fuji is a forest that is a very popular location for committing suicide. Since the 1960s, there have been over 500 suicides reported in this forest. There are signs all around the forest saying, please think of your family, please contact the police. It's a problem. But the thing is, if it's a forest at the base of Mount Fuji, and Mount Silver is the in-game equivalent, there's kind of a forest at the base of Mount Silver. Which raises the question, since I disappear after you beat me, what happened to me? Did I kill myself? No. Guys, I'll tell you what happened. I got dragged to this panel by these guys.
Very good job on the smoke bomb, Koga.
Thank you, boss. I mean, Giovanni. Who I don't know. So there's Bellsprout Tower, which in and of itself really isn't that scary. I mean, it's full of the creepy monks and everything, but I mean, they all have like Bellsprout.
They use nothing but Bellsprout. That's terrifying.
But one of the creepy things that they tell you is that there's a legend that, you know the big tower that goes up in it and it says it moves if there are battles on the top floor or whatever? They say that that is 100-foot dead Bellsprout.
100-foot Bellsprout?
No. Yeah.
I'm sorry, all I can think is...
Maybe. So, yeah. And everyone remembers the really creepy Generation 1 Bellsprout sprite, which looks like a skull and is just kind of being a creeper there.
Ooh.
And then there's Glitch City. How many of you have been to Glitch City before? Again, almost all of you. Through a Safari Zone trick, it is possible to get into Glitch City. It is an abysmal patchwork of all things simply not meant to be. It is possible to walk and bike on water like you're Jesus. There are fusions of cave floor sprites and signs. You just walk through here, and the further you go, the more you realize it was simply not meant to be.
Well, like New Jersey.
And if you get stuck, like a little landmine, you cannot move, you are stuck there forever, unless you have a flyer and can fly out. If you save while you do not have a flyer, you are stuck in this place forever. Can you imagine? And there are some cringy people in Pokemon. Being the protagonist, I've had the pleasure of running into most of these at some point.
What is
The
that?
first one I'm going to talk about is this woman in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum on Route 217. You go into a house, you want to take a rest. It's a snowy hell on that route. And there's a woman there, all alone by herself. And she says it's so nice to finally have a human visitor. She specifies human, and it's so cold. Won't you please take this? And she gives you the spell tag, which, when held by a Pokemon, powers up ghost-type moves. When you leave the house, you think, oh, maybe I've forgotten something, and you return. Woman is nowhere to be found. Later, you fight an ace trainer on the same route, who says there are legends of hauntings in the area.
Are you familiar with a Yuki Onna, a snow spirit that freezes travelers and kills them?
Sounds like my mother.
Sounds like your mother. And in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, near the desert ruins, there is a woman and she advertises her house as Old Lady's Rest Stop. Now, I don't know what her parents were thinking, naming their baby girl Old Lady, but you go in, and she asks you if you would like to take a rest. And you think to yourself, oh wow, a creepy old lady I don't know wants me to sleep in her bed. Great idea, you have a rest. When you wake up, the old woman is standing there and asks you if you would like to take another rest. And then another. You're just sleeping there over and over for probably days on end while this woman is watching you sleep like Edward Cullen.
Hope she doesn't sparkle.
And next up, this one I honestly don't even know how it made it in the game. It is extremely creepy, even by my standards. Cue Ball Luke. Now, if you look at his sprite, he looks pretty much just like the guy your mama warned you about. He's clad entirely in leather. He's wearing a codpiece over his crotch. He is carrying a whip. And when you fight him, he says, "Come out and play, little mouse. I'll treat you right." There is absolutely no mistaking what that is implying. You are 11. All I can say is, thank God Psychic was so broken in Generation 1 because I kicked his ass.
Another place where you can see a bunch of creepy people is the Pokemon manga. How many of you guys have actually read the Pokemon Adventures manga?
My bad.
Good job. Awesome. If you haven't, I suggest it. It's actually pretty good. Also because, like, it gets pretty dang violent in some parts. I mean, like, characters actually die, not for funsies or pretend, but I mean, like, they die. And Cyrus is psychotic. I don't know if you guys can read that, but he says, "The sacrifice of thousands, even tens of thousands of Pokemon means nothing." So yeah, and you say that in front of like a giant cemetery. Awesome on you, Cyrus. And Lance tries to like kill a protagonist a couple times, and then there's Maxie and Archie of Team Magma and Aqua, and they're just basically, they're facts, yes, but they're like psychotic, and they're trying to kill everybody, and then Slowpoke here is like, gonna sink a ship.
And your poor Arbok, I've no sympathy.
That is my Arbok! They're getting
That's
cut
the
in half!
best thing my rival ever did was having this Charmeleon kill that Arbok. High five!
I'm glad your Raticate is dead!
Well, that was fun.
So yeah.
Alright, and next up, there are Pasta and Urban Legends. I'm sure almost all of you are familiar with them. They are extremely, excruciatingly popular in the fandom right now, to the point where it kind of makes my head spin. So I'm going to talk about a few that are really popular right now, and a few that I really recommend. First off, Lost Silver. Who's heard of it? Who's read it? Alright. Lost Silver is, you start off in Bellsprout Tower as gold, and you check your party, and you have a team of 5 unknowns that spell out the word leave. And your last Pokemon is a dying Cyndaquil named Hurry. It gets worse. And then we have Curse Black. Who's read it? Alright, good. It's one of my personal favorites. There's not much to say about this, except in the beginning of the game, instead of being the standard Charmander, Bulbasaur, or Squirtle, you get to start with a Lavender Town Ghost. This goes exactly as well as you think it would. Next up we have Come Follow Me, which is an urban legend about the original Japanese Red and Green, saying that originally there was something that was supposed to happen if Professor Oak didn't get to you in time to stop from going to tall grass. None of the players know what this is because everyone who's done this has committed suicide. And next is up is Glitchy Red. Who's read it? Alright, Glitchy Red is about the first generation Red and not me. It's about what it's like for the protagonist in the game. He's self-aware, meaning you are literally putting him through all of the things we just described. He is not happy about being replaced by me, the third generation Red, and he is out to freaking kill you. And next up there's Axe Candlerope. Who's read it? One of you. Well, that's better than none. It's probably my favorite. It's an urban legend about the original Japanese Red and Green, where instead of getting the TM Flash, you have a candle, and instead of getting the TM for dig, you have an escape rope, and instead of getting cut, you have an axe. Now, the thing about these items is, if you used the axe on an NPC, you could kill them. If you used the candle indoors and it wasn't a cave, you set it on fire. And my favorite, if you use the escape rope in a doorway,
Ready's escape rope.
Buried Alive / White Hand, who's heard of it / Reddit? Alright, good. This is an urban legend saying that there is a script in the Lavender Town Tower that has subliminal messages that influence your brain to make you completely lose your freaking mind. There's also a supposed hidden script for you encountering a buried alive zombie man who devours you whether you win or lose. And since a lot of you are probably interested in the fan-produced stuff, there's a lot of really good fan-produced stuff, like the urban legends and the creepypasta, and fan fiction especially. So we're going to have Giovanni, if you would be so kind for once, to do a dramatic reading of a fanfic that I actually wrote about Glitch City.
You are a real self-promoter, but I'll do it.
Hey dude, I'm gonna let you finish, but My Immortal was the best fanfic of all time.
Creepiest fanfic never, My Immortal.
As we go, Red wasn't sure of his surroundings, except for one thing. He was sure his surroundings, whatever they may be, were created with the sole intent of not being understood or even discovered. He couldn't explain it. Odd and strange weren't the right words. What he saw and did see had such a depth of abhorrent wrongness to them. Where he stood, he was almost certainly on top of a rocky ledge, but walking forward, he found himself move with ease as if he was on a paved road. He stopped. The world around him has shifted horribly. Around him, he was lost in some forsaken, abysmal patchwork of his world. Water intercepted half-formed buildings and trees, cutting off squarely with no shoreline. Floating ruins and data, distorted pieces of the scenes he'd known all his life, broken apart and into things he could barely comprehend. There were flashes of nonsensical things before him. Symbols, letters, numbers, foreign writing, all appearing before him before breaking off and disappearing. The various pieces weren't in front of him so much as they were flooding his mind with meaningless, terrible things. Red moved forward and found himself frozen in place. He couldn't move. Frantically, Red turned around, seeing from all sides the ungodly terrain, and closing his eyes because it was too awful to see. Closing his eyes did nothing. The feeling permeated his eyelid and his mind, assaulting him with all things that should not be. He could not walk forward as though invisible form-fitting walls kept him held tightly in place. But he could turn to look.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, just getting out of fire.
So speaking of stories, we want to hear your creepy experiences with Pokemon. So if anyone has any story, you can come right up and share it with us.
Whether it be a Pokedex entry.
Tifa, come right up.
Now, if you take too long, I will not hesitate to kill you.
Run, Tifa.
I'm actually surprised I didn't mention this, but the Cubone Pokedex entry, he wears his mom's skull.
Oh my god, yeah,
like, that's the Pokemon. Like, after it dies, I don't know how, but it wears the skull of its mother. And that's never stopped being creepy to me. Like, especially the fact that that's the Pokemon in Lavender Town that died, a Marowak.
It was on our way.
I don't know, just something I'm sure most of you have noticed.
All right, Sebastian, come up.
You better have one hell of a story.
It's not a story so much as something I noticed as we were going through. It was about H-Poke. I am sure that most of you know what H can be shortened version of. Hentai. And if you notice the sprites in the entry for H-Poke, it looked pretty much like a mosaic. The kind they used to censor said
I am
hentai.
11. This is not appropriate to talk about in front of me.
I am, and I don't.
Yeah, true.
Alright, you, the Kamui is pointing to. Blue shirt.
Oh, okay. So basically, back when I had Sapphire version, I was stupid, and I bought an hatched. I don't know if you guys remember the question mark symbol when you hadn't discovered a Pokemon in Gen 3. There's like this question mark in a circle.
Missing no, yes.
They're missing no.
Oh, yeah. So apparently, as soon as when it hatches, the question mark comes out, and like your entire game data gets erased. And to this day, I have like not turned on my Sapphire version because I don't want to move anywhere with that egg and get all my data erased. So I mean, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of cool.
If by cool you mean terrifying.
Oh my god, Grell.
Hey, one of the Pokedex entries, I forgot which one it was, but with Macargo, has a body temperature of 1,000 degrees. That's pretty much the temperature of the sun. How does that work?
I use mine for hatching eggs, and it frequently hugs me.
Yeah.
That was yours, huh?
And Sebby, call me.
Red Hood in the back. You had your hand for a while.
Yeah, they probably cut several hundred degrees. Okay. I kind of
A little thing going back to Cuba. Is there any chance we can have a picture of Kangaskhan?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, we have no internet.
Okay. Well, if anyone just looks at it, I know you all have your DSs. Look at Cubo. Look at Kangaskhan. Look at the thing in Kangaskhan's pouch. It's roughly the size and the shape of a Cubo. Now we all know Cubone wears its mother's skull. So there we go. We know where it comes from. Now, and this is less creepy but more awesome. I just want to point this out. Marowak's Pokedex entry says.
Your mic near your mouth.
Sorry. Marowak's Pokedex entry. Yes, that's much better. I love that sound in my voice.
We noticed.
Marowak's Pokedex entry says, toughened by the death of its mother, has surpassed all odds and become even stronger. Marowak is the Pokemon Batman.
Pretty good.
In closing, all of you lost the game.
Golden Bat? Is that gold? Yeah, come on up.
Hey, Golden,
That's
fight me.
that was old like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I got a pretty strange story to tell about that woman or whatever. The old woman. The creepy old lady. Okay, does anyone remember the creepy old lady from Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald? Okay, I think she appears in Diamond and Pearl, like somewhere south of Mount Stark. She's there and she's trying to convince those people to take a nap as well. Also, about Mount Pyre, if you kind of look at it close enough, it's in the shape of a first-gen ghost from Lavender Town. Look it up. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Wait, the ears. Yeah, come right up. Oh no, I see it.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to imagine like what it would be like if Pokemon were real. And then that imagination kind of died because I bought Pokemon White version. And one of the Pokemon named Litwick, I don't know if any of you have played the new one yet. I've read in the Pokedex, the description says, this little Pokemon acts as a guide for travelers, and anyone who is foolish enough to follow them slowly gets their life force sapped. So as you're trying to catch a Pokemon in what seems like a cemetery, it's killing you. And there was another Pokemon, I believe his name is Daramaku, he looks like a red tiki. It also says for him that his body is really, really warm, and travelers who are traveling in the cold use his droppings to keep warm. Now my question is this, who is gonna find a Pokemon dropping and the first thing going through their mind is, I'm gonna stick this in my shirt.
Yeah, don't judge.
Alrighty then. I'll just say don't comment. And one more thing, why is there a garbage bag Pokemon?
I know, right?
Like, and it evolves into a dumpster, and its ability is weak in defense. When you hit it, it gets weaker.
Well, I guess one could say it goes from whippy, whippy, whippy to hefty, hefty, hefty.
It may be laughing, but that joke will never be funny.
Well, that's to you.
He just said a story about poop, guys. I feel like the threshold of funny is just not there. Oh my gosh. Pink shirt. Yeah, you.
You've got some spirit. Want to join Team Rocket?
Stop recruiting, boss. I'm Giovanni.
Good. Meet me afterwards.
In his hotel? No. Sign up for Team Plasma are in there.
I used to play. I used to play Soul Silver when I was younger. I always found it quite creepy that they kept on cutting the slowpoke's tails. Also, who would want to eat a slowpoke tail?
Don't judge. Don't knock until you try it. It tastes like chicken.
Also, like
Standing up in the back.
Get over it. It's standing up.
Well, first of all, I'd like to mention that when I was playing Gold for the first time, picked Cyndaquil for my starter, was on my way to Cherry Grove City, fought a level 2 Pidgey, and my Cyndaquil, for some reason, started to gain levels until 999, and I had no idea why. That's just a creepy occurrence there.
That Pidgey was a super Pidgey, the last of its breed, and you killed it.
Super Pidgey.
I'm not entirely sure. I believe it's the green sprite for Hitmonchan. It looks kind of obscene. It looks like Togekiss is watching Doduo make a poo. I'm not going to be discreet with you. Completely serious too, check it out.
Alright, we have time for one more story. The Digimon guy.
He's not gonna be discreet. Make a poo.
First of all, have you seen the unfortunate archive on VP, the guy who posted the whole Pokedex with like entries for each Pokemon, like little stories about them? Oh, okay.
We may have.
Okay, that was me. Apart from that, some of them are based on canon. For instance, Raticate can chew through buildings. They gnaw on them. Yes.
Since that was short, we have one more.
Yeah, alright, one more.
One more.
Okay,
In the tie, way in the back.
Alright, just two other Pokedex things that I was surprised weren't mentioned. One, Pidgeotto, eat Caterpie. Just putting that out there. Second, when I was younger, I had a book of the Kanto Pokedex, and it was in, oh, you had that too? Yes. Okay, and I think it was either in that or in the actual Pokedex or online. You can probably find it online. It says that Machamp had the strength to punch their victims to the moon. I'd like to know how you find that out, and why you don't see it more often.
Alright, I'm so sorry, that was the last story. Thank you guys so much for coming. Have fun sleeping tonight.
And remember,